Hi, I'm Tai Wong, class of 1988. I think I see about 30 of our classmates here, which is a pretty good showing, guys. Ladies? So I just realized that Matt and I overlapped about a year at Hunter and wouldn't really know each other very well, but our speeches are a little bit similar. So it's been 30 years since the class of 1988 went to the prom at Windows on the World at the World Trade Center. And since we doffed our Squid Vicious t-shirts, our mascot, and we wanted to use Ira the fascist pig as our mascot, but Mrs. Eichler said no. And that would have... I met Mrs. Eichler 15 years later, and she was pretty much still the same. So I've always thought of 30 years as a generation. I think that's right. Many of us, myself included, have children who are now in high school or graduating from high school. We're deep into our careers, worrying about the future, and taking care of our parents, many of whom are in the twilight of their lives. But it's been a good 30 years. To start, almost everyone is still with us, though we remember David Smith and Seth Specken, who I think are the two members of the class who are no longer with us. Jill Slater, who actually organized the reunion, has obsessively tracked down all but 10 of the 193 members of the class, which is a tremendous accomplishment. So we found that the class of 1988 has a tremendous number of people in education as teachers and professors, too many to name. We also have authors, lawyers, physicians, and a couple of virtuoso musicians. I'm told that one of our classmates is one of the top 3 jazz pianists in the world. We have a senior Googler, one who runs a $30 billion hedge fund, and even a commodity trader. That's me, the commodity trader, not the guy who runs the $30 billion hedge fund. So as I reflect, what's changed in a generation? For one thing, language. To millennials and centennials today, there's like a new dialogue that sounds like Latin, forgive me, to many of us Gen Xers. So I'd like to give you a couple of examples which amused me. So one rainy Saturday, no college visits, no softball games, I said to the kids, let's just turn on Netflix and chill out. And my 16-year-old daughter looks at me and says, Dad, that doesn't mean what you think it means. So for those of you who don't know what that is, I guess you should Google it. But if I want to gross out the kids, I just tell them, I'm going to Netflix and chill out with Mom. Now, then there's Slay. My day, Slay meant Dungeons and Dragons, but I think it means something else now. Salty, which my son uses all the time, doesn't mean savory or off color. There's another meaning. And then finally, a word that I learned just a few months ago, woke. It's not about getting out of bed. There was a young associate who said, Tai, you wouldn't be considered woke. And I'm pretty thankful for that. Maybe because I can't understand another term that they use, goals AF. I have no idea what that means. So recently, my wife Judy, who was also class of '88, and I went to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. The highlight of the night was Goodnight Saigon, when Billy brought up members of it was Fleet Week, members of the Navy who were in town to sing with him on stage. And I realized that none of the servicemen and women who were up there were alive when that city was still called Saigon. And it also reminded me that, our generation, or my generation really, is the last generation of the Cold War. But for us and our parents, through our parents, we remember World War II, we remember the Cold War, existential struggles of our time. But 10 years later, people who were born 10 years later, Vietnam is just a place. So with a child in high school and in middle school, I realized how great Hunter really was. Here we were treated like adults when we were in this, since we were in the 7th grade. We're not taught to write essays with a rubric that has to be followed, even though the result is wooden crap. I have a 7th grader who writes this, and I'm like, what is this? But we have to follow the rubric. I don't think we ever had that here. We didn't need bathroom passes or late passes, and we could stop at our lockers anytime we wanted. And we could all go out to lunch. Well, I think starting in the 9th grade. I also realized that we're blessed by the quality of our fellow students. We might have been a little geeky, a little bookish. Some of us, not all of us were saints, But compared to what I see today, I think Hunter was an oasis of calm and serenity. The counseling department was a treasure, as most of the parents in the room will realize. Judy and I are supposed to fill out now for our rising senior a brag sheet about our child. And our counselors knew us intimately. We never needed to do that. Our parents never needed to get involved. Now, our kids, have good teachers, but Hunter had giants in the faculty whose tenure and reputation spanned generations and made Hunter a really special place. And it's names like Matt just shared with you, like Kisner and McNeil, Mrs. Goldsmith, who is standing right there. Ms. Morello, Laster, Anna Boxo, who was really, really special. And the finest teacher I've ever known, Ira Marienhoff, chairman of the Social Studies Department for 25 years. So I have great memories of Hunter. I've met the love of my life here. I'm always happy to be back. Thank you very much.